Today is the day you start becoming the self-compassionate, empowered, and motivated version of yourself that you always wanted to be. Are you ready to explore your untapped potential? Welcome to Untapped. I'm your host, Starla, and I'm about to help you reach your ultimate goals every time we chat and we tap. So let's go. It's time for you to take control of your life, and it starts today. Hi, thanks for joining me again today. So I literally wasn't going to do an episode today. I wasn't going to record an episode. I don't usually do that on a Friday. But I saw something that just jumped out at me. And I really wanted to address my feelings and thoughts on this. So this awesome motivational speaker called John Azareth, who I personally feel is very supportive. He is absolute sweetheart. He's liked my post before, commented. He seems really, infused in people expressing their love for gratitude and living in a compassionate way and in an optimistic way. And I love that because, sure, he's a millionaire, but he isn't so far ahead of himself that he wouldn't get involved in a conversation with someone who isn't a millionaire, right? So he posted something on Instagram about gratitude. And of course, my ears perked up because I found it really interesting where he said he notices how many people aren't grateful for the life they lead right now. They're just so concerned about what's on the other side. That's what they want to feel gratitude for, and not what they have right now in this moment. And that was really, really interesting to me because first off, let's address this in the respect of manifestation and conscious creation. If you are not grateful for what you have now, and if you are not grateful for the journey that you are creating to get to where you want to be, you're not likely to get to where you want to be. If you do get there, it may be short-lived, or it may be that you get there and actually you just don't feel as excited and elated, as happy as you thought you would when you got the thing. So that comes into our everyday circumstances when we buy things like phones and computers, or we even buy a new car, which can be quite an expense. And you get really excited about it. You choose your color, your interior, etc., etc. You go and pick it up, and it's got that new car smell, and it's amazing, and it drives like a dream. Couple of weeks later, most people are not as excited about that purchase as they were, especially if maybe they get a scratch on the car or something like that, because suddenly it's damaged goods, right? So it's not the shiny, pristine thing that we were dreaming about that was going to change our lives and make us happy. It's now completely damaged and you already want a new car. So when we buy things to create happiness in ourselves, we're not being truly grateful for living, for experiencing life, for experiencing buying the phone or the car, for experiencing getting up in the morning, for experiencing holding someone you love close to you. All those moments help you build the future that you desire. So I saw this comment, and I'm terrible, right? If I start reading comments, I can get quite fired up sometimes. And most of the time I can walk away from it and just be like, I don't know that person. I'm not judging that person. I don't know where they're coming from. They might have had a really, really bad day. I'm not getting involved in a conversation with a stranger who's quite clearly angry. And I'm super high vibrational right now. I haven't got any interest in causing any sort of commotion. But when I saw someone write rich person privilege with like throwing up emojis and dollar sign emojis in the eyes and things like that. I just was so taken back. And I don't know why I was taken aback, because I work with people and I understand money blocks, and I understand blocks to happiness and blocks to conscious creation. Because when we perceive that if somebody else has something we want, that they are a bad person, or that they shouldn't be talking the way they are, and that it's not possible for poor people to feel gratitude, but it's completely possible for rich people to feel gratitude because they're rich, so why wouldn't they be grateful? I just said something, and, I'm not expecting it to have a good response. But what I did think when I wrote it was write it with compassion, with an educational standpoint, but still with compassion, and that someone else who's in a better headspace might be able to take that on and use that in a positive way, even if that person can't. Because gratitude has absolutely nothing to do with rich people's privilege. Gratitude can come at any point, from any perspective, at any time in your life. In fact, if you look at the world and break it down into all these different areas in the world, we're not just talking about Western culture. We're not just talking about England and America. We're not just talking about Europe. We're talking about all over the world. In some of the poorest countries, people have been found to be the happiest. Because where we're in the time where we are in overconsumption a lot of the time, and there's so much around us, there's so much advertising saying you need this and you need this and you need this to be happy. That's the mindset that a lot of people get into. Whereas if you remove that from people's lives, the advertising saying you can only be happy if you buy this brand new shiny car, this shiny phone, you have this relationship, you go on holiday, or you are a millionaire, then people look for things to feel grateful for inside of themselves and in that moment in time in their lives. So they're more likely to be grateful for their food, for their clean running water, for their children's smiles, for their own smiles when someone makes them laugh, for a piece of clothing that has been gifted to them, for the rain that's suddenly come out of nowhere and nourished the crops that was really necessary in order for them to eat and sustain themselves. And that level of gratitude is something that every single one of us can adopt into our own lives. Most of the time, what I've noticed, especially in Western culture, is that people need something traumatizing or really challenging to kick them up the arse, like a spiritual kick up the arse moment, saying, hey, just thought I'd give you this little twist of fate to ask you, are you happy with the way your life is? So for me, there were two parts to this, I think, that really made me question everything in a really, really short space of time. The first one was when I separated from my long-term relationship with my son's father. 12 years is a long time to change and evolve and to start to see life in a different way. And throughout that relationship, we both changed a lot because we were together in our 20s and separated in our 30s. So we were able to, witness how much we were changing, and that the relationship was not sustainable, nor was it pleasurable to continue to be in. And when I made that choice, having left the relationship very briefly a few times throughout, the longevity of the relationship, when I finally made that choice, I didn't go back. It was the right time and it was the right moment for me. And I started to feel immense gratitude for being me, for making courageous decisions. And then I was living by myself. And so I had to do things that I wouldn't have previously done by myself. And I started building so much appreciation in the small things that I was achieving. Just things like banging a nail into the wall and doing it in the right way, just like learning how to drive, things like that, because I learned how to drive quite later on in life than most people do. So yeah, that was the first part. And then the second part was being told that I had cancer. And I remember being told that I had to go in for this operation. Like, we need to get you in now. You're not going to be here tomorrow. So it's not really a choice, really, is it? And I was getting prepped and I laid there on the table and they put these cool packs underneath me, which I hadn't experienced before. And I remember thinking, this is frightening. This is a frightening moment right now. Just having these cool gel packs underneath me. I didn't like it. And the nurses, they were so lovely, as they always are, so reassuring and so kind. And they were talking to me in such loving ways. And there were a few moments of silence before I was, I went to sleep for the duration of my surgery, where I connected to my intuition. And I said, I'm scared, I'm worried. And this intuitive voice said, you're going to be absolutely fine. You just need to trust in the process. And that was the second moment in my life that was so pinnacle, that allowed me to connect to a different part of myself that I hadn't really been paying too much attention to before. And when I woke up in intensive care, which I stayed in for a few days, that gratitude started to just seep in. I am so grateful to be alive right now. I'm so grateful that my family are around me. I'm so grateful that I have such lovely, caring staff helping me out every step of the way. And let me tell you, those 2 weeks in hospital were challenging. From having to have straws, put in places and then taken out because it wasn't the right length and put it back down. And I'm not going to go into it too much because I don't want to trigger you right now, but it was one of the most courageous moments of my life, getting myself into a place where I trusted my body to heal and I trusted myself to hold myself in the way that I needed to and to give myself a ton of self-compassion. And this was before I even read the book on self-compassion and learned the art of self-compassion. It just started to come to me more naturally. Still wasn't the person that I would dream to be in the weeks after that, because there was a lot of up and down fear. So when we have these moments, they are clarification on how much we truly want to live, on how much we truly want to experience life in its entirety, with the ups and the downs. Not all the stuff at the end of the rainbow, not all those moments that we're just trying to grab at, and we're so like forcibly trying to make our lives so perfect. There's one reason why, because we're not happy in ourselves in that moment. Because I guarantee you can be extremely happy not being a millionaire. You can be extremely grateful with $50, £50 in your bank account, because it isn't about the money and it isn't about the things. It is about tapping into this true sense of being within ourselves. And maybe you've heard people say this before, over and over, and you're thinking, that's fantastic, Starla. Thank you so much for reiterating something I hear over and over and over again. But how the heck do I get there? Because I don't particularly want to develop cancer, and I don't particularly want to leave my relationship, So your story's great and all, but how do I get there? This is how you get there. You start practicing gratitude and self-compassion. I am going to do a really in-depth podcast and video on self-compassion, because if you've ever dreamed of being that person that walks into a room and heads turn because they can just feel that incredible energy that you're emitting, you might think that that thing that you have in that moment is called self-confidence, but it absolutely isn't. Self-confidence is a byproduct of self-compassion. So if you learn how to love yourself entirely, you can then become self-confident. I was a model for years, and you may, from the outskirts, think I had so much self-confidence. But nothing could be further from the truth. I had body dysmorphia. I had depression. I was constantly living in a world that I didn't feel comfortable in. It's either I was too skinny or I wasn't skinny enough. I decided when I first started going to modeling, like most people who were 5'9" and naturally slender, to go into the world of high fashion, editorial, and all that jazz. And then I wanted to start taking more control after being with a couple of modeling agencies. I didn't like the way that they were managed. So I decided, after seeing a couple of girlfriends of mine who managed themselves, to start doing that for me. So I would reach out to people and I would speak to them like I was my manager. And I booked every single job I ever went for, except for one. And then years later, I met that designer and I got her tickets to an exclusive party and we sat together. It was so funny. And she said, I don't know why I never booked you, so let's get something together and make that happen. So essentially, I booked every single job I ever went for as a model. And you might think, wow, that's so cool. I mean, like, I want to do that. I want to be that. But even though at the time I felt accomplished, I was still in that mindset that I was grabbing for things to make me happy, to make me feel more desirable, to make me feel more bookable. I wasn't turning up to any of those jobs in the respect of, this is me, I believe in myself, I am worthy just as I am, and I'm grateful for this moment. I had a lot of lack going on. So I would, in a heartbeat, change all of that, all that glamour, all those amazing parties, the celebrities, all of that stuff. I would change it for what I have right now, where I'm not a model. I am a mindset coach. I get to help people shift into an amazing vibration that helps them to get what they want in life, but to be who they want to be in life, more importantly. And that for me is one of the things that I will continue to be so grateful for every single day of my life. So try and find those things, anything you can right now. And within a week or 2 weeks, notice the changes in your life, because they will be absolutely incredible just by going into gratitude. You might think that's nuts. How can that possibly happen? But I can guarantee you it does happen. Gratitude is a magical frequency and it will shift you into a timeline that you want to be in, because you won't be grabbing at it so much. You won't have that manifestation in a chokehold anymore. You will just simply be so grateful for the journey. It'll be so easy for those things to come to you. And then when you do actually have them, you won't be grateful for them for like 1 day or 1 week. You'll continue to be grateful for them because you'll be living in a state of constant gratitude, no matter how much money you have in your bank account. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. And if I could leave you with one thing, actually, one thing that you can try doing, if this is something you do, try and reflect on yourself and do not be in competition with others. The moment you start to see that other people are somehow unworthy of the wealth they have or unworthy of the things they have, that's the moment that you start to go into lack energy. So try and remind yourself that you come first. You are the love of your life. And all you want to do really, truly is to improve your own life. To stop looking at other people as a reflection of the world in the way that you don't want it to be. And just start enjoying everybody's wealth, everybody's happy relationships, everybody's wonderful things in their life. And that will also help you out so much, especially when it comes to social media. Next time you go to write something like rich person privilege, stop, take a couple of deep breaths, remember these words that I've said to you today, and then decide if you want to click send. Thank you for tuning in today. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a thing. Your feedback is really important to me, so please leave a review and let me know what you think. Want to take your mindset mastery to the next level? Connect with me on Instagram and TikTok for tapping videos, exclusive content, and more. As an EFT Empress and Mindset Mastery Coach, I have even more to offer you through my membership program. Visit my website and join the community today. You can find me under the handle She's a Guiding Star on all my social media platforms. Don't miss out on the chance to make positive changes in your life and make them stick. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.